So hello students and viewers, how are you all? I hope all of you are fine and safe. This is your Arindam sir and you are watching Revision Learning. So students, today we will start a new topic, a new chapter, a new session with a new topic from your civics, your chapter number 3, Constitutional Design. So in this chapter, what we are going to read basically? In this chapter, we are going to read about the apartheid system. What is apartheid system and the democratic constitution in South Africa? So both the things are interrelated. The democratic constitution in South Africa and the apartheid system is interrelated. Then we will move to the struggle of the blacks people in South Africa against this apartheid system. What is this? We will get to know in this chapter. Then we will move towards a new constitution that was formed in South Africa and the speciality of that constitution. Okay. After finishing the South African constitution, we will get one idea. We will get one conclusion from the South African constitution. And based on this conclusion, we can say that why do we need a constitution, which is your second topic. So why do we need a constitution is the second topic in your chapter that we are going to read. We will read, okay, the importance of constitution, what is constitution and what does a constitution do. These things we will read in details. Okay. After that, we will move to the making of the Indian Constitution. How the Indian Constitution was made. What do you mean by the Constituent Assembly? What is this Constituent Assembly? The total procedures that the leaders followed while making the Indian Constitution and the oath of the Constitution, everything we will discuss. We will also at the same time will get to know about some of the great leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Abul Kalam Azad, okay. Then we will read about Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Jaipal Singh, Durgabhai Deshmukh, Jawaharlal Nehru, Bhimrao Ambedkar, that is the B.R. Ambedkar, who is known as the father of Indian Constitution, Shama Prasad Mukherjee, Somnath Lahiri, etc. About them also we are going to know in this chapter, and later on in this chapter we will read the guiding values of the Indian Constitution. What is the value of Indian Constitution? We will get to know everything in this chapter. We will read the philosophy of constitution also. How the constitution is made. What is the meaning of some terms in the constitution like republic, justice, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, equality, liberty, fraternity. All the meanings of the words we will know in this chapter. So students, I hope this chapter will be a very exciting chapter for you all and you will get to know so many new terms, so many new things about our constitution, about our political scenario, and also you will get to know something different or something you can say outside the country when you will read about the Nelson Mandela, the story of Nelson Mandela and the South African Constitution. So I hope this chapter will be interesting for you all. You will get to know so many things about the Indian Constitution in this chapter. So with this students, today I am wrapping up and in our next session we will continue. We'll start this chapter and we will start with the topic the apartheid system and the democratic constitution in South Africa. So students, you keep watching Revision Learning. Subscribe this channel, press the bell icon, support us, help us to grow, and like this video, share it to your friends if you like my explanation. So students, don't miss the next video because from the next video we are going to start this particular chapter, your chapter number 3 from class 9 civics, constitutional design. Thank you students. So hello students and viewers, how are you all? I hope all of you are fine and safe. This is your Arindam sir and you are watching Revision Learning. So students, let's start with our first topic, Democratic Constitution in South Africa from your chapter number 3 of class 9 civics, constitutional design chapter. Now, in this Democratic Constitution in South Africa, there was the story of South Africa, the struggle of the South African people against the apartheid system. Now, what is this apartheid system? Before going to the apartheid system, we will read about Nelson Mandela. Who was Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela was one of the prominent nationalists and a leader of South Africa who raised his voice against the apartheid system. He was imprisoned in 1964 for the charge of treason okay, as he opposed the apartheid system in South Africa. And Nelson Mandela was a great follower, or you can say a great lover of Mahatma Gandhi. He always followed Mahatma Gandhi's ideologies, Mahatma Gandhi's path against the freedom struggle or in the Indian freedom struggle. He always followed it, and he always loved Mahatma Gandhi and his ideologies. So I told almost 2 to 3 times about the apartheid system. Now let's know what is this apartheid, or is this apartheid system. Now the apartheid system is a racial discrimination that was done in between the black people and the white people in South Africa. Now during that time, South Africa was ruled under the British. They were under the British like the way we were there under the British. So during that time, British was ruling South Africa, and British means white government, and this racial discrimination, that is the apartheid system, was promoted by the white government. And according to this racial discrimination, the blacks suffered a lot. Lots and lots of ill treatment and atrocities were done on the black people, and which continued from 1948 till 1989. So and this racial discrimination or the apartheid system was done based on the 3 colored people. Like one is white, which is British, one is the black, where like 3/4 of the majority population of the South Africa are black, and the one was the colored. Colored means mixed races, basically Indians also you can say, or some others. Now due to this apartheid system, lots of problems, lots of struggle the South African people had to face. Like for example, the South African people, that is the black people, the blacks were not allowed to enter in the areas where white people lived. They were forbidden from entering into the white areas. They cannot work into the white areas, and for working into the white areas, the non-white people needed a permit which was not easily available, which was not easily given by the British government, the white government. So this was one of the, because for their livelihood also they had to struggle a lot. After their livelihood, in all the public places, everything was separate. There was a separate system, or you can say separate facilities for the white people, whereas for the black people the facility was totally bogus. Total discrimination was there. All the high class and standard facilities were given to the white people, whereas for the black people everything was useless. All the low standard facilities were given. Every public places. Now the public places, like for example in trains, in buses, taxis, hospitals, schools, libraries, colleges, cinema hall, theaters, swimming pool, etc. In all those places there was a discrimination in between the blacks and the whites under the apartheid system. The white rulers always treated all the non-whites as inferiors, and the non-whites did not have voting rights. So after this lots and lots of struggle, since 1950, the colored people, Indians living in South Africa, and the black, they started to oppose against the system. Okay, they started to raise their voice against this apartheid system, and because of this reason, they formed an umbrella organization, means a small organization, okay, which name was given as African National Congress. It's not like our Indian National Congress. Congress means public meeting or some political meeting and all. So African National Congress was formed, and many sensitive white people also joined the ANC, that is the African National Congress, to oppose this apartheid system along with the non-white people. Because you can say that in a society not everyone is not bad. Okay, some of the white people are also good, and because of that reason they also joined the ANC to support the black people, the non-white people. Several countries also announced apartheid as an unjust and racist, but the white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, killing of thousands of black and colored people. So now let's move to your new topic, that is towards a new constitution. How a new constitution was formed in South Africa. The protest against the apartheid gradually increased with the time being, and slowly the white, after getting lots and lots of hatred from all over the world because of this apartheid system, had to change their policies, had to bring some changes in some of their policies. Like for example, they changed the discriminatory laws, and the discriminatory laws were replaced. Number 2, the ban removed from political parties, and Nelson Mandela walked out of the jail after 28 years. So these three changes or these three policies were changed by the British. What they did, the discriminatory laws, the discrimination in between the blacks and whites in most probably in all the public places were removed. There was a ban on some political parties after the formation of ANC. So this thing was also removed. And Nelson Mandela was also released from the jail after 28 years of imprisonment. And finally, on the 26th April 1994, South Africa got free from this apartheid system. So, at the midnight of 26th April 1994, the new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled, making the newly born democracy in the world. The apartheid government came to an end by this process, which paved the way for the formation of a multi-racial government. So, slowly, multi-racial government was formed in South Africa, and the apartheid system and this apartheid government, that is the British government, was removed. So, this new government or the formation of new multi-racial government means people from all the races, from all the colors can stay in the government. They made some rules. Okay. What were the rules made by them? Like, the simple rule was that the black leaders always decided that they want to forgive the white leaders and the atrocities that were made by the whites. So the black people decided to forgive the white people. This was the first thing, or you can say the first historical event made by this multiracial government. Okay, after the emergence of the new democratic government of South Africa, the black leaders appealed to the other fellow black people to forgive the whites for the atrocities they had committed while they were in the power. Okay, then another thing that they made, that they sat together to form a common constitution. Now you can see the South Africa became a democratic republic, and when there is a democracy, there should be one constitution. So the South African people decided that they will sit together to form a constitution, and sit together in the sense the black people and the white people both will sit together. And because they wanted equal rights should be there for all the citizens, they never wanted any discrimination that was done by the white people. Whatever the white has done, the black wanted that they should not do the same thing, or else there would not be any difference in between the black and the white. So they decided that they will form a constitution in such a manner that all the citizens, both the black people and the white people, should get the privilege equally. Okay, and after 2 years of discussions, debates and all, they made one constitution, which was considered as one of the finest constitution of the world. Together, they decided that in search for a solution to all the problems, nobody should be excluded, no one should be treated as a demon like the way the whites treated when they were in power. They agreed that everybody should become a part of the solution, a part of the government, and whatever they might have done or they might have represented in the past, it doesn't matter. Now all will stay together and all will form a constitution by combining their views, their opinions, and all the citizens of the South Africa would be given equal amount of rights. The preamble was also made for the South African Constitution. What is a preamble? Preamble is an introductory writings, or you can say an introductory statement in a constitution that one state or one country write some of the reasons and the guiding values of their respective constitution. So a preamble was written for the South African Constitution. Okay, and everything was made possible because of the determination of the black people of South Africa to work together to transform, to change the bitterness that was there among the people into a sweet result. And sweet, how they changed it? By requesting to all the fellow black mates, the black people, that they should forgive the white people and they should live together. They should form a constitution together. So this was the story of South Africa, and this is how the South African Constitution was formed. The Constitution of South Africa speaks of both the past and the future. On the one hand, it is a solemn pact in which we, as the South Africans, declare to one another that we shall never permit a repetition of our racist, brutal and repressive past. But it is more than that. It is also a charter for the transformation of our country into which is truly shared by all its people, a country which in the fullest sense belongs to all of us, black and white, woman and man. These things were written in the Constitution. So, this is the story of South Africa and the struggle towards the apartheid system and the formation of a constitution or a democratic constitution in South Africa. I hope all of you have understood this topic. If you have any confusion, doubts or queries, you can go through the video once again, or you can ask me. You can clear your doubts in the comment section below. I will clear all your doubts. We will discuss everything in the comment section if you have any doubts, if you have any queries. And students, if you like my explanation, then please like this video, share it to your friends, subscribe Revision Learning, press the bell icon, help us to grow, support us and keep supporting us. If you subscribe the Revision Learning channel, we will get motivated and we will make more such videos for you all. We will bring some new content, some more interesting contents, and I will bring it up for you all. So students, with this, I have to wrap up this video. In our next class, in our next session, we will discuss that why do we need a constitution? What is the need of a constitution in the society or in the country? So till then, stay safe, take care, bye bye. So hello students and viewers, how are you all? I hope all of you are fine and safe. This is your Arindam sir and you are watching Revision Learning. So, I hope you have understood about the topic that we have discussed in our last video, in our last session about your constitutional design chapter. In your constitutional design chapter, we have discussed till now about the democratic constitution in South Africa, the struggle against the apartheid system, what was the apartheid system, how it was abolished, and ultimately how a new constitution was formed in South Africa. Everything we have discussed in details. If you had missed that earlier video, you can check that video. I have given the link in the description box. Okay. Today we will discuss why do we need a constitution. Okay. Why or what does the constitution do, and the making of the constitution, how the constitution was made in India. So without wasting any time, let's start our today's session, our today's class. Why do we need a constitution? Before going to this question, if I ask you what is a constitution, then what you will say? You have got some idea from the South African constitution that what is a constitution? So if I directly ask you what is a constitution, then what you will say? It will say that the constitution of a country is a set of written rules that are accepted by all the people of the country, by all the citizens. Constitution is the supreme law, the ultimate law that determines the relationship between the people and the government. Okay. Constitution basically can guarantee its citizens social, economical and political justice, the status of equality, equal opportunity, the law and order, freedom of thought, or you can say expression, belief, faith, worship, etc. Everything is being provided by the constitution. So that's why constitution in a country is very important. Now, why do we need a constitution? So you till now you came to know that constitution is a set of written rules that are accepted by all the people living in the country. But like the South African constitution, our constitution was totally different. We have seen lots of struggle while making this constitution. South Africa problem was only the apartheid system. The apartheid regime was only problem with the South African government. But in India, we had lots and lots of problem. Like, first of all, we had to handle with the white government. We had to handle with the British government. Okay. Then in our country, there was a diverse group of population. Diversity was there. Every community was different. Along with the diverse group of population, our constitution was made at the time of the partition. We also had to see the partition of India and Pakistan. So there also lots of problems were there. while forming the constitution, like how to accommodate these things, the people who went to Pakistan but were in the Indian side, or some of the people who were in the Peshawar, Lahore, Pakistan side, then came to India. Okay, they inculcated them in the Indian side. So lots and lots of problems are there. Not only that one, some princely states are also there. Some princely states means like Jammu Kashmir, Hyderabad, who initially refused to inculcate themselves with the Indian government. But ultimately, Jawaharlal Nehru and the entire constitution and the entire group, Indian army and all, somehow forcefully, or you can say, they made them bound to join the Indian constitution, to join the Indian provinces. Okay, from the princely states, they joined the Indian provinces. So we have seen lots and lots of problems. So because of these reasons, the formation or the path of formation a constitution, the path of making a constitution was very difficult for we people. Now, why do you need a constitution? If we directly ask this question, then a constitution generates a degree of trust and coordination among the different kind of people. If we have a constitution, then we can easily find out the trust and the coordination. There would be a definitely there would be a trust that these things are written in the constitution, so we have to follow these things, and there would be a kind of coordination among the people. Simply, if there is a written rule, if there are written rules and regulations, and if every people of the country follow that rule, then definitely there would be a great coordination among the people of the country. Second, it specifies how government will be constituted and who will have the power to take the decisions. Ultimately, the constitution will decide that how the government will be constituted. The government will be constituted by the elections. Government will be elected by the citizens of that country, and how the government will take the power, will take the decisions to implement different powers, different law, different acts, so many things. So how the government will make the decisions, how much power the government will have, everything will be decided by the constitution. Okay. The next one is, it lays down or it limits on the powers of the government and tells us what the rights of the citizens are. Constitution also tells us, Constitution also limits the powers of the government. It limits the power up to an extent. The government cannot do whatever they want to do. Government also have some limitations, and also it gives some rights to the citizens, like we have the fundamental rights. So like this, it also gives some rights to the citizens, and ultimately it expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society. Ultimately, if we follow the constitution, we can aspire that, or all the people of the society can aspire that if we follow all the written rules and regulations properly, then we can create a good society. So these things are so because of these things, we need a constitution. So I hope this is clear to you all, that why do we need a constitution. Now, if you go to the making of the Indian constitution, the process of making of the Indian constitution, then definitely just now I told you that Indian constitution was drawn, or Indian constitution was made under very difficult circumstances. Why difficult circumstances? Because the country was born through a partition process on the basis of religious differences. You learned these things in class 8 chapter after India after independence. In that chapter, you have got such type of things. Now, India also got the diverse group of population. I told you earlier that we had the diversity. So many communities, so many groups were there, and it was not easy to make a constitution taking everyone under consideration. All the communities, all the people, all the different types of opinions of the people, all the different groups, taking everything into consideration, it was not easy to form a constitution. Another problem was that the problem of integration of the princely states. I also told you this one, that so many princely states were there, and they told that we are not going to join, like the princely states. Princely states means the states ruled by the kings. So I also gave you some examples like Jammu Kashmir and Hyderabad. So Jammu Kashmir and Hyderabad had the rights that they either can join the Indian side, or they can join the Pakistan side after the partition. So ultimately both of them came to the Indian side. Some of the portions from Jammu Kashmir went to the Pakistan. So these were the problems. When the constitution was written, the future of the country did not look secure as it is today. It was not secure. There was, like, everyone was in doubt that whether the future of the country or the makers who made the constitution had the anxieties about the present and the future of the country. Okay. So while forming, or you can say the path of the constitution was not that much easy, you can say. But one advantage we had over the South African constitution, as if we compare the South African constitution with the Indian constitution, then we had one advantage over the South African constitution. What advantage we had? We had advantage, like we had already developed the consensus about what a democratic constitution would look like. How we got that consensus? We got that consensus during our freedom struggle. We got an idea that during our freedom struggle, we got an idea from the British that how a democratic country, or after being a democratic country, how a constitution will look like if we form a constitution. We got this idea during the rule of the British. During this struggle during this Indian freedom struggle, the country, despite of having the differences in the opinions in the groups, they got some idea from the British that how a constitution would look like, and also they were united. We people were united during the time, because there was no Hindus, there was no Muslims, like all people got united. Basically, I'm talking about Hindus and Muslims, because majority of the population in the country are Hindus and Muslims only. After that, Sikhs are also there, Isai and Christians. So many communities are also there. But still, if we can consider two people, but still we have the diversity, the diverse groups of population. So everyone was united because we all involved us during the Indian freedom struggle. Nobody thought about the communities, the religions. Everyone thought about making the country free from the East India Company, free from the British rule. So this advantage we had. Another advantage was that in the 1928, Motilal Nehru drafted a constitution and made a resolution at the Karachi session about the Indian constitution. Okay. So this was already done in the 1928. And who did this? Motilal Nehru. Motilal Nehru already drafted a constitution drafted an Indian constitution in the Karachi session in 1928, in 1931. In that session, he already drafted. So Motilal Nehru already generated an idea how to form a constitution, how to make a constitution. Okay. Also, we had some familiarity with the provincial legislature elections. The elections were held in the different provinces in 1937. Okay, and from that elections, we also got some idea how to form or how to adopt Indian constitution. Okay. Also, the people who formed constitution were inspired by the French Revolution, Russian Revolution, okay, bills of rights in the US, etc. So from these things, we easily got the idea how to form a constitution that was not there in the case of South African constitution, in the forming of South African constitution. Now, if we come to the Constituent Assembly, then the question is, who are the Constituent Assembly? Okay, so Constituent Assembly means after elections, those people who were elected in the election, they came into this Constituent Assembly to take up new policies, to draft new rules and regulations for the country, to draft a new constitution. Constitution was made by the elected representatives from the provincial legislature elections. Elected representatives were there, and those elected representatives were called the Constituent Assembly. Okay, they formed one assembly which was known as the Constituent Assembly. Elections to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946, and the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held in December 1946. But soon after, there was the partition of India-Pakistan. So after the partition, there was a division found in the Constituent Assembly. And according to that division, 299 members left on the Indian side, because there were more members, but they went to the that side of the country, on the Pakistan side, after the partition. So when the partition was there, only 299 members were there, and 299 members wrote the Indian Constitution. The Constituent Assembly adopted Constitution on the 26th November 1949, but ultimately it was implemented on 26th January 1950, that we celebrate as the Republic Day. Now, why should we follow this constitution till now? After 70 years of independence, why should we follow this constitution? So, constitution does not reflect the views of its members only, the views of the elected representatives of the Constituent Assembly. It does not reflect only their views. It reflects the general people. It expresses a broad spectrum consensus of its time. It has its legitimacy. Constituent Assembly represented the people, not their own views and opinions were written in the Constitution. Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. They were elected mainly by the provincial legislatures, which ultimately gave us a fair geographical share of the members, or from all the regions, people, or from all the regions of the country. From all the regions of the provincial legislatures, elected members, elected representatives were there, and ultimately they formed the constitution. The Constituent Assembly represented the Indian National Congress also. They represented the different political parties, different political groups, different peoples also, and that's why you can say that in the Constituent Assembly, from people from all the regions, from all over the country were there. So because of this reason, we should follow the constitution, as because the constitution was made keeping in mind the opinion, or keeping in mind keeping in mind about the country, not any particular group or any particular section of the society. Constitution was made for the entire people of the country. Because of this reason, there was a diversity, there was a equality, you can say. The equality was given in the constitution. As constitution, we know that constitution gives equality, social, economical, political justice. Here also, the Indian Constitution, after framing the Indian Constitution, equality was given to each and every section of the society, each and every religious group of the society. And because of this reason, we should follow the Indian Constitution. The head of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and the drafting committee chairperson was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, whom we ultimately call as the father of Indian Constitution. B.R. Ambedkar drafted the constitution. Everything was done by the drafted and or written by that B.R. Ambedkar. Then more than 2000 times it was changed, it was amended, it was debated for a long time, and ultimately every document, every word, everything that was spoken by the Constituent Assembly members were preserved and recorded, and ultimately the constitution was implemented on 26 January 1950, our Republic Day. So I hope you have understood about this process of making the Indian Constitution. And why do we need a constitution? So students, with this today I have to wrap up this session. I hope everything is clear to you all. If you have any doubts or queries, either you can go through the video or you can share your opinions, share your comments in the comment section below. I will clear your doubts. And if you have liked my explanation, like this video, share it to your friends, and don't forget to subscribe Revision Learning and press the bell icon so that you never miss any of our videos, any of our classes, any of our updates. So students, with this, today I have to say you a goodbye. Take care, keep studying, and we'll meet in your next class. In our next video, we'll discuss about the guiding values of the Indian Constitution. So, take care. So, hello students and viewers, how are you all? I hope all of you are fine and safe. This is your Arindam sir and you are watching Revision Learning. So till now in our chapter Constitutional Design, we have seen the struggle against the apartheid system. What was the apartheid system? The democratic constitution in South Africa, how it was formed, and how the new constitution formed in South Africa, what were the struggles they had to go through. We have learned, we have seen about the Nelson Mandela. Then we went to the second portion of our story, where we have seen this need of a constitution. Why do we need a constitution? What does the constitution does in our country? The making of the Indian Constitution, the path of making the Indian Constitution, the Constituent Assembly. These things we have discussed till now. So today in this class, we will discuss about the guiding values of Indian Constitution, the dream, the promise, and about the terms or about the values given in the preamble of the Indian Constitution, the philosophy of the Constitution. So let's start our class, today's class. So the guiding values of the Indian Constitution. The manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. Like for example, if we justify this statement, we can say that for some basic principles, were decided and agreed upon. Then the drafting committee chaired by our Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft for the constitution about taking all the discussions under consideration. Then several rounds of thorough discussion took place on the draft constitution clause by clause, and the above mentioned points ultimately proved that the Constituent Assembly maintained a democratic attitude. So these, we can say that these were the promising values, or you can say these are the promises that the Constitution gave to us. The Constitution never believed in any discrimination. Always the Constitution was made taking the consideration of all the citizens of the country. Okay. The values that it gives to us is that the Indian Constitution is a very long detailed document. Now, this Constitution was never considered as a static or sacred, or you can say unalterable law. It needed to be amended quite regularly or to keep it updated. So, those who drafted the Indian Constitution, the Constituent Assembly, felt that it had to be in accordance with the people's aspirations and the changes that in the society brings, or the changes in the society. So based on all the things, our constitution makers had great foresight. They knew what was going to happen. They just made one assumption, taking everything under their thinkings, you can say. They were aware of the coming future needs of the fast changing Indian society, and it was likely to experience many socio-economic changes in the coming years. So for this reason, our constitution makers had their great foresight, and as such they desired that the Indian constitution should be able to adapt itself to the changing conditions, or you can say the changing circumstances. So they made provisions to incorporate changes from time to time, and these changes were called the constitutional amendments. They provide a suitable amending procedure. So the constitutional amendment means a change in the constitution made by the supreme legislative body in the country. So this is our constitutional amendment, and it is also called the parliament or the Sansad. Now the constitution can be changed according to the needs and aspirations of the people. And what is the main significance of this constitutional amendment? The main significance is that India is a major democratic country and has a long and detailed constitution. So because of this reason, sometimes something might be missed, or sometimes something might be written which it's not like unnecessary, or you can say which is unpopular or controversial. So because of these reasons also sometimes amendments are required also, or you can say therefore it needs to be amended quite regularly to keep it updated. It is important to amend it quite regularly. The makers of the Indian Constitution did not see it as sacred, static or unalterable law. I told you earlier also, and as a living document, because our constitution is a living document. Till now we are following our constitution. So being a living document, it has to be in accordance with people's aspirations. It has to be in the accordance with the changes that the people bring in the society. It has to be in the accordance with the upcoming future, or the fast changing country, that is fast changing society of the Indians. So because of all these reasons, the constitutional amendment is also very important. Now we'll see about the Mahatma Gandhi's role in the Mahatma Gandhi's contribution to the Constitution of India. Now, although Mahatma Gandhi was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, he was a member of the Indian National Congress basically, but there were many members who followed his vision from the Constituent Assembly. As you know that the Constituent Assembly was mainly the members were mainly from the Indian, or belong from the Indian National Congress, INC. So according to his magazine Young India in 1931, Mahatma Gandhi wanted to release India from all thraldom and patronage. He emphasized on political equality. Mahatma Gandhi thought India as a country where the people of all communities, all castes, all societies would live, all religions would live together in perfect harmony. Mahatma Gandhi wanted India where there could be no room for the curse of untouchability. Okay, and the untouchability system was also abolished later on. Women enjoyed the same rights as the man, and slowly everything was maintained in the constitution. So this is the role of, or the contribution of Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian Constitution. Now our constitution begins with a short statement of its basic values. This is called preamble of the constitution. Preamble means the initial statement, or the introductory statement written in the constitution that states the reasons and the guiding values of our constitution. So it is the preface, or you can say the introduction of the constitution. So it contains the philosophy on which the entire constitution has been written, has been built, or has been drafted. So it provides a standard to examine or evaluate any law and action of the government to find out whether it is good or bad for the society. It is the soul of the Indian Constitution. So in these guiding values, or in the values of this preamble, there are some words, there are some important values, or you can say, which are very important to know, which we should know, because in our constitution we have we can see whatever it is written in our constitution. In our constitution it is written that we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought and expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and the integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly this 26th day of November 1949, to hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. So here are some words like we the people. We the people, it's for all of us, for the citizens of the India, for Indian citizens. Then in the preamble it is written the sovereign. So what is the meaning of the sovereign? Sovereign means people have a supreme right to make decisions on internal as well as external matters, and no external power can dictate the government of India. All the people of India have the rights to take their own decisions by themselves. In the socialist, we can say that the wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by society. Government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. So in the socialist, wealth is generated, wealth is maintained, and it should be equally distributed in the entire society. If we see the secular, what is the meaning of the secular? Then citizens have a complete freedom to follow any religion here in the secularism, and there is no religion or no official religion is there in our country. All the citizens have the rights to follow their own religion, and the government should treat all the religious beliefs and practices equally. In the republic one, we can say that the head of the state is an elected person and not a hereditary position. That's why our president is an elected person, okay. Now if you move to the justice, then all the citizens should be given equal justice, means equality for all. The justice should be given equally to everyone. No discrimination should be there. Citizens cannot be discriminated on the grounds of caste, religion, gender. Social inequalities have to be reduced. No social inequalities should be there in the society. Government should work for the welfare of all, and especially of the disadvantaged groups, especially for the backward classes. If we see the equality, then all are equal before the law. As I said, as based on the justice, thus all are equal in before the law. Equality for all. Okay. If we move to the liberty, then there are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in the action. There should be liberty, there should be freedom for the citizens, and that's why we have some fundamental rights where we can express our freedom. We have the freedom of expression, our own thoughts, our own views. And lastly, if we discussed about the fraternity, then all of us should behave as if we are members of the same family, and no one should treat a fellow citizen an inferior. That means everyone should be equal in the eyes of all the people, all the citizens of India. We should not treat anyone, any of our fellow citizens from any state as an inferior state or as an inferior person. Everyone should behave unitedly, and everyone should stay together. That's why in Indian Constitution we have the unity among diversity. So with this, I hope everything is clear to you all, and the 2 pages that I have shared from page number 48 and 49, here are some of the important things that was taught by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and also you can get to know about some of the important members of the Constituent Assembly. And you need to know, like while reading the chapter, you need to read about them, what were, how, when they were born. Like for example, Rajendra Prasad, Jaipal Singh, H.C. Mukherjee, Baldev Singh. Okay, so like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sarojini Naidu, or Bhimrao Ambedkar. So all are there in the Constituent Assembly. Everyone had their roles in the Constituent Assembly. So if you read about them, a little bit is given in your chapter. That's why I shared this page. I wanted you to read everything properly. Just go through about them, read about them. Simply, it's a very small para about them only. And if you want to read something more about them, you can go to the Google option. You can search about them also. You can read about them also. So with these students, we have to wind up this chapter because everything is complete. Your chapter is complete right now. So I hope you have understood this constitutional design chapter. So if you like my explanation, if you liked everything the way I explained, please share this video, like this video, subscribe Revision Learning, press the bell icon so that we never miss, or so that you never miss any of our videos and updates. And students, if you want to get this because this chapter I've explained in 2 or 3 parts. If you want to get all the explained or all the entire chapter, you can see the complete chapter in a single video, then for you only I'll be uploading a video where every parts of this chapter will be united together and all the lectures based on this chapter will be there in a single video. So you can check that video if you want to learn everything in a one particular video. So with these students, it's time to say goodbye. I hope everything and I think you have understood everything. If you have any doubts or queries, you can ask me in the comment section below. And with this, another chapter in your class 9 civics is over. In our next class, we'll start a new chapter. Till then, take care, stay safe. Goodbye.